We'll be back. That has been so unfortunate that my power went off. However, I think it is now sorted. We're on the types of speeches. And we say these are specifically based on the purpose, meaning the purpose of the communication, why we are communicating. And we said one of it is informative speech, which is meant to just communicate and give people an understanding of what is taking place. Another type of speech is called persuasive speech. A persuasive speech is designed to influence the audience beliefs, attitudes, or actions. These speeches use logic, emotional appeal, and strong evidence to convince listeners to adopt a particular viewpoint or take a specific action. They are often used in political campaigns, sales presentations, and debates. So the persuasive speech is basically meant to influence the perception of the audience. As it has been mentioned in political rallies, they use persuasive speech to make the audience to favor them when the right time comes for elections. We have demonstrative speech. A demonstrative speech is instructional, teaching the audience how to complete a specific task or process. These speeches often involve step-by-step explanation and may include props, visual aids, or live demonstrations to enhance clarity. So as the name suggests, demonstrative, meaning it has to be shown to the individuals how to go about certain things or how to go about a particular procedure. This could be on how to come up with a product, for example, a step-by-step explanation of how to come up with a product. And this step-by-step could be shown by a live experimentation, of course, demonstrating to the audience on how to make, for example, liquid soap. That could be an example of a demonstrative speech. So you will have to demonstrate step by step how the liquid soap is actually made. Then lastly, on the types based on the purpose, we have special occasion speech. Not last, but the second last. We have special occasion speech. We're saying a special occasion speech is delivered during significant events, celebrations, or ceremonies. These speeches often evoke emotion, inspire, or commemorate an important milestone. There are several types of occasion speeches, including acceptance speeches, farewell speeches, commemorative speeches, and motivational speeches. I will not talk much about this one here. As the name suggests, it is based on certain types of occasions. That could be funeral occasions, it could be some birthday and so on, speech and so on. Then we have toast speech. We're saying a toast is a short celebratory speech given in honor of a person, event, or achievement. It is typically positive, heartfelt, and ends with a raised glass. Toasts are common at weddings, anniversaries, and formal gatherings. The key to great toast is keeping it concise, sincere, and engaging. For example, a best man's speech at a wedding, toasting the couple's happiness. I think this is also direct, as we have seen. And the last one is roast speech. A roast is a humorous speech that playfully teases or jokes about someone in a friendly manner. While it involves light-hearted insults and exaggerations, it should always remain in good spirit and avoid being offensive. roasts are popularly in comedy shows, social gatherings, and farewell parties. I think we have ever witnessed the comedians uh, joking about some particular people, pointing at a person, and then they talk some words. If it was not because of comedy, it would have been taken in another sense. And or a friend talking about another in words that looks to be minimizing, but because of that occasion, they are not taken in that essence. So those kinds of speeches also exist. And then we also want to look at another category of speeches, and that is types of speeches based on occasions. I think we have highlighted it somehow in the other first types, but of course it was under one of those 6 types based on purpose. So one of the item we have moved here based on occasions. So we also have speeches, types of speeches based on occasions. So different events require different types of speeches. Some celebrate achievements while others honor individuals or inspire audience. So as we said, we need to know, we need to understand the events that we are going into in order to give a good speech. Otherwise, if we had prepared for a speech to give in a celebratory environment, and then we find that actually a funeral occurs, then that might become a disorganization when it comes to our speeches. So you must always know what is taking place, where you required to make the speech, then it will help you to prepare adequately. So one of that is the acceptance speech. Acceptance speech. An acceptance speech is given when receiving an award, honor, or recognition. The speaker directly expresses gratitude, acknowledges supporters, and reflects on the significance of the achievement. For example, if you have been named as the employee of the year, then you are likely to give an acceptance speech. If you are the student of the year, you might be likely to give a speech, and that speech is what we call as the acceptance speech. We also have what we call as the farewell speech. It's called what? Farewell speech. A farewell speech is delivered when someone is leaving the position, workplace, or community. It typically includes reflections, expressions of gratitude, and parting words of encouragement. So, for example, actually, one time when I was still working in accounts, we had organized some small celebratory, of course, event, and it was for the former bursar who had resigned because he wanted to try other opportunities elsewhere. And in that, farewell speeches were given to wish him the best wherever he might be heading to, and basically words of encouragement, and also talking about maybe what has transpired during somebody's time while in office. Basically, so farewell speech is given for somebody or by somebody who is leaving a particular destination. It could be in terms of geographic destination, it could be in terms of work destination, it could be in terms of course, leaving one community for another, it could be in terms of leaving one branch to another branch. So all that requires a farewell speech. Then we also have a commemorative commemorative speech. A commemorative speech honors a person, event, or cause. It expresses admiration, respect, and the lasting impact of the subject being recognized. For example, honoring a historical figure during a national day celebrations. You remember we have in Uganda we have Heroes Days, and these Heroes Days are specifically organized to recognize the efforts of our fallen soldiers, of our fallen heroes, and during such times, commemorative speeches are actually given. Then we also have motivational speech. Motivational speech. A motivational speech is designed to inspire and energize the audience, often encouraging them to take action, overcome obstacles, or pursue their goals. So when it comes to motivational speech, it is designed, or it is meant to inspire the audience. It is meant to energize the audience. It is meant to encourage the audience to pursue certain things. Of course, not to make them lose hope in whatever they want to do, for example, in life. And this could be particularly to encourage maybe staff to work harder in an organization, okay? And also overcome challenges, because when people become demotivated, then they need motivational speakers to speak on their behalf. To speak to them. What we should know is that these speeches are given by different types of people, because different types of people can give in different ways. For example, not everybody can be a motivational speaker. Not everybody can inspire. And not everybody can be able to influence decisions. And not everybody can be informative enough. So what we're saying is that it is also a matter of the talent, the skill that the speaker has, that he can be able to give such speeches. We also have another type of speech that we call as eulogy. Eulogy. A eulogy is a speech delivered at a funeral or memorial service to honor and remember a deceased person. It typically highlights their life, achievements, and impact. So when we talk of eulogy, I think when we went for the funeral rites of our fallen lecturer, may Allah have mercy on his soul, in Koboko, the eulogy speech was given there, and as we said, it is done to basically to maybe remember somebody's past, or the deceased person's past. And obviously, or most times, we honor the deceased. It typically highlights their life, their achievements, and the impact that they had. And of course, it also highlights the gap such people leave behind while they are gone. So that is what we call as eulogy, or eulogy speech. And those are the 6 types of speech that are based on the events that occur. As we have seen, they are there. Then we also have types of speech based on delivery style. Types of speech based on delivery style. We're going to look at these ones, and one of them is called manuscript speech. Manuscript speech. A manuscript speech is read word for word from a prepared script. This method ensures accuracy but may limit direct engagement with the audience. So when You find somebody comes with the paper or a document, or comes with a PC or a smartphone, and is reading information, is passing communication, and it is that communication was or has already been prepared, and the person is reading word to word, then that's what we call as what? Manuscript speech. For example, during the budget readings, you will find that everything is followed word to word. National budget readings, it is done, and you'll find that the person giving the speech reads the figures word to word, and that leads us to a manuscript speech. The method ensures accuracy. Of course, the information is provided as it is intended, but the challenge is that it may limit direct engagement with the audience, as the audience is meant to only listen. And perhaps sometimes these manuscript speeches can be prepared and be delivered by the people who actually don't own them, or people who actually own them, but maybe they are being representative because they're not able to speak the exact mind of the person they're representing. So you find that they use the written speeches to what? To give their or address their audience. Then we also have memorized speech. Memorized speech. Memorized speech is delivered entirely from memory without using notes. While it allows for a polished delivery, it requires extensive practice. So we also have memorized speech. This is the one that comes from the mind, or that has been memorized or put in the mind or stored in our minds, and meaning that once we go before or on the stage, we just talk and from our memory. Of course, such kinds of speech, for you to be accurate, you need to do an extensive practice, because without it, then you might not be able to perform, or you might perform but not to the expectations of the audience. We also have impromptu speech or impromptu speeches. An impromptu speech is given without prior preparation. It requires quick thinking and adaptability, often occurring in formal or unexpected situations. For example, a manager answering a difficult question during a business meeting. That could be an example of impromptu speech. Of course, sometimes you are asked questions that you have not prepared for, but you find yourself as a responsible person, you'll have to say something or address the issue. So that is an example of impromptu speech. And lastly, we have extemporaneous speech. Extemporaneous speech. We're saying an extemporaneous speech is well prepared but not memorized word for word. The speaker uses an outline or key points while maintaining a conversational tone. For example, what I'm doing might be that example of extemporaneous speech. The reason is that I have noted points that I keep referring to, then I talk about them, try to explain them in my own way, and but knowing that I have a guideline where to go next. So I have a guide whereby I have the key information, and I be able to refer to it at any time at will. So that could be an example also of extemporaneous speech. Then another part that we have, so before we proceed, I want us to rewind on the types of speeches that we have so far covered. And we said basically what we have looked at are that the types are based on 3 fronts, and 1 is based on purpose. And we said for the type that is based on purpose, we have informative speech, whereby its aim is just to inform or educate the audience or explain something into detail. In other words, it's just to provide information, okay, to give information. For example, a historical discussion, a historian discussing the civil rights movement, just to give information. And then another one is persuasive speech, still under the purpose types based on purpose. We have persuasive speech. This one, of course, aims to change the beliefs or attitudes or influence them in one way or another as per the demands of the speaker. And we're saying that they need a lot of logic for you to influence people. There must be a lot of logic involved, and then there must be a lot of emotional appeal that is involved if you're to influence people successfully. For example, if you're talking about love matters, then you should really have an emotional appeal when it comes to that. If you're selling items to people, then your speech must have that emotional appeal. And of course, strong evidence to convince listeners to adopt a particular viewpoint. So that is the other type of speech under the purpose category. Then we have demonstrative speech. This one we said that it requires somebody to show the audience on how to go about certain things. And we gave an example of how to make the liquid soap. And somebody may need to demonstrate this by bringing the chemicals live, and is able to show the members what is it, how the process is achieved at the end. So at the end, you are giving a demonstrative speech. Of course, it is being supported by the other things that you are showing to demonstrate the real matter. Then we also talked of the special occasion speech, and this special occasion speech is what we look at in the next category, whereby we said the categorization or types of speeches based on occasions. And we are saying that this type of speech is delivered during significant events, celebrations, or ceremonies. And we shall look at its depth in the next categorization. Then we talked of a toast speech, where we said it is a short celebratory speech given in honor of a person, event, or achievement. Okay? And then the last one, we said it is a roast. And we said roast speech is a humorous speech that playfully teases or jokes about someone in a friendly manner. And then after that, we said there's also another categorization of types of speeches that is now based on the occasion. When we look up there, it is on item number 4. And we have said we have acceptance speech, and we said it is given when receiving an award, honor, or recognition. We also talked about farewell speech, and we said farewell speech is delivered when someone is leaving a position, workplace, or community. Then we also look at commemorative speech. We said it's a speech meant to honor a person, event, or a cause. It expresses admiration, respect, and the lasting impact of the subject being recognized. We did not stop there. We also went ahead to talk about motivational speech. We said this motivational speech is designed to inspire and energize the audience, often encouraging them to take action or overcome obstacles and pursue their goals. And we also looked at eulogy. We said eulogy speech is given basically during funeral times to recognize the person's life and the achievements and the impact that the person might have left. And those are the 5 types that we looked at under that categorization. And the last categorization we talked about is the delivery style, where we talked about the manuscript speech, whereby we say a manuscript speech is read word for word from a prepared script, meaning a prepared document. The speech giver just goes and presents the information while reading it word by word from the document. Then we also talked of memorized speech, whereby this is the one that has been put in the mind, and we said the challenge with this is that it may need a lot of practice, as you might not be able to remember everything. In fact, it may make you to leave certain things out unless you have done a proper memorization and practice, of course. Then we talked of impromptu speech. We said an impromptu speech is given without prior preparation. This is the one that comes abrupt, that in an event, just abruptly somebody is required to respond or is required to say something about certain things. So that requires somebody who can think very fast. It needs somebody who is very flexible, and somebody who can play with the words easily. Otherwise, somebody will be stranded and won't say something. And we also looked at what we call as extemporaneous speech, and we said an extemporaneous speech is well prepared but not memorized word for word. The speaker uses an outline or key points while maintaining a conversational tone. And this is what we most times we use. Most times it is used everywhere, and people depend on the key points to explain what comes next. So those are the types of speeches. The next thing we want to look at is the tips for writing a speech. If you want to write a successful or a good speech, what do you need to do? As we said before, one is that you must know your audience. If you want to write a good speech or have a good speech, you must know your audience, because if you know your audience, you are going to be able to tailor your tone. You're going to be able to know the language mixture to use and content to get your audience attention. It's always very important, if you're going to give speech, for you to know who are your consumers of the speech. Who are those who are going to benefit from what? From your speech. If I'm going to talk to students, then I must know what to tell the students. I must know the needs of the students. Otherwise, the needs of the students is not the same as the vendors. So I must always know the type of people I'm going to meet. And if you're going to meet or talk to politicians, it is not the same as you're going to talk to doctors or a group of accountants. It is not going to be the same. So knowing your audience is very important when it comes to writing a speech. We're also saying that you need to define your purpose. Define your purpose. Be clear on what kind of speech you are delivering. Informative, persuasive, or motivational. You must know what you're giving. In other words, the type of speech that you're going to prepare. Because also knowing what you're going to prepare can enhance your speech's acceptance by the audience. And if you're going to give speech to a group of people who are almost maybe about to strike, then you must be able to know what kind of or what type of speech to give during that kind of activity. And I believe it must be a persuasive one. For example, when you see the doctors trying to strike and they refuse to be in office or work at their workplaces because of salary issues, then you find the president calls them, and after some time, you see they go back for work, including the teachers also, they do the same, but after some time, you see they go back to class. That means they have been persuaded in one way or another, or it could be that they were lacking some information. Now now they know the information why certain things are happening like that. It could be that they have been motivated in one way or another that we may not understand. So what we are saying is that you must know the purpose of the speech. After knowing your audience, you must know the purpose of the speech. And another thing we're saying that structure your speech. Use a strong introduction, organized body, and memorable conclusions. So as a good tip for writing speeches, you must be able to structure your speech. In other words, it must be in stages. Of course, in stages, in speeches, there must be always introduction. You must be able to introduce yourself, you must be able to introduce the topic you are going to talk about, and then at the end you must be having, of course, a well-structured or prepared body. And that could be in terms of sections or subsections. What we're saying is that it has to be organized in a way that it will allow for you an easy flow of your speech. Otherwise, it might be something not easy. We're also saying that another tip for writing a speech is that you must be able to use stories in your speeches and examples, because the stories help to bring the minds of the people together or back to the discussion, and the examples that you give help them to cite live examples that they can be able to dwell or live in. So it's very important that as you deliver speech, you be able to give examples of what you're talking about. Otherwise, people might be in the blue. So also, the stories that you narrate may help people to understand what you're communicating better. Another thing we're saying is that as a tip for writing a speech is that maintain a conversational tone, write as you speak, and avoid robotic phrasing. Okay, maintain a conversational speech. Do not be just twisted to, tuned to one mode of communication. In other words, you must be flexible as you communicate, and you must know that you are dealing with human beings who can get tired, of course. Okay, so when they get tired, how do you tune them back? If you don't have that, then it may become very hard for you to keep an audience for a long time, because we have speeches or lectures that can go for a whole day. It might be your responsibility to make sure that these people are kept lively throughout these lectures. And if you cannot engage them, then they're bound to be off your points or even doze off. And then we're saying use pause and emphasis, strategic pauses and vocal variation improve delivery. In other words, certain times may require you to change voice or pause a bit. Okay, it may also give the audience time to reflect on what you're talking about. It may also give you time to, of course, organize the points in your brain, how you should put them, because you don't just talk anyhow. Of course, you need to make sure that whatever comes from your mouth comes out rightly and correctly. So strategic pauses and vocal variations improve your delivery. Not a pause where you are out of ideas, but we're saying it is a strategic pause whereby you allow for certain things to transpire, maybe in you or the audience, strategically. And then we are saying that another tip is that you must be able to practice and revise. Read aloud, refine wording, and ensure proper timing. And ensure what? Proper timing. Of course, these things need practice. For you to give a good speech, you must have practiced, you must have prepared. Without practicing, without revising what your speech, then it might be an issue, especially if the speech has been prepared by somebody else. So it may be necessary for you to go over it. Then we are saying incorporate visuals if needed. Use slides or props to support your specific topic. And these are the visuals we are talking about. Remember, now when it comes to this, we are talking actually about both the speeches and what? And presentations. So we must be able to incorporate visuals, meaning things that people can be able to see. Of course, if you have a projector, you can project what you're talking about on the notes board. I think this one most of you have seen. Some lecturers use the projectors and show you the things that they are teaching on the board. Of course, using the projector. And we're saying that you must be able to end with impact. End with the impact. Summarize key ideas and include a strong call to action if relevant. So all this you're supposed to end with impact, meaning your last words, your conclusive words, the impact they leave on the audience, and actually how you end, whether there's a way you can call them to act the way you have presented, on the issue that you have presented. And this might involve, for example, if you've been giving a speech about certain interesting topics and you're an online or a blogger, you may ask them to subscribe. And that asking them to subscribe may be a call to action. So we're saying that to wrap things up, delivering a speech, strong speech, requires more than just standing in front of an audience. A well-structured speech with personal anecdotes and a clear call to action keeps listeners engaged. With its informative, persuasive, or for special occasion, the right approach makes all the difference. So members, as I said, I promise not to take long. What I can say is that we have looked at speeches and types of speeches. We have also looked at some few key different types, key differences between speeches and of course presentations. Then after that, members, we also looked at the types of speeches, as we categorized them in 3 categories, and that is based on purpose, based on occasion, then based on, we also said based on what? We said based on delivery style. So all these contribute to the types of speeches. What I can say is that, members, speeches, your presentations are going to be part of our life as we grow, and they are things that are not about to come to an end. In fact, they are things that might continue in our lives until we depart this world. So my humble appeal, my humble request is that these things are practical. They are not just theoretical. They are not just being taught in class, but they are meant to be also applied wherever you go. So what I can say is that you must always be in a position, before you prepare any speech, you must know for whom that speech is intended to go to. You must be able to know how your speech must be structured in order to favor that particular group of people. We must be able to understand that one speech that succeeds in one area or with one group may not necessarily succeed in another group. And that means that we need an adequate preparation whenever we are going to give speeches. Of course, we saw an impromptu speech whereby it doesn't need the preparation. It is an urgent one that needs to be. Besides that, we must prepare when it comes to giving speeches, whether it be for family members as a family head, whether it be in a graduation, we must always prepare, whether it be at funeral of your beloved one, we must be able to prepare so that we know what to say to the audience. Dear members, dear students, I want to stop here, and possibly, God willingly, after here, I will also record another lecture that I'll be able to share with you before the weekend, and we shall see how it moves. Thank you very much for your time. I wish to stop here. I want to remind us once again that since we have the notes, we must be able to concentrate on what we have. And of course, I said before that the only things that we set in the exams are what are taught. And I want to believe that 95% of the things are covered, at least 95%. Of course, there's one topic that I given you as a coursework, and I believe I actually consider that as also covered. And why I say we are at 95% because there are some topics that we have not explained. However, as we move on, we hope that we can move on and actually have them. So prepare for the exams. We have less than 2 weeks left for the exams. I want to urge you to be serious. This is your time. Take it serious and concentrate. Give this time. If there are things that you can leave, please leave them. Concentrate. Make sure you have a convenient place to revise. As you have seen, you have a lot to do. So thank you very much. Without wasting time, I wish to stop here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.